Hello, I'm Amy Pence-Brown, here to tell you tonight about the innovative and inspiring Idaho native plants teaching garden we're building at Hawthorne Elementary School. I'm a mother and educator, a resident of Boise's Vista neighborhood, and serve on the PTO and as school garden coordinator for Hawthorne Elementary. In the next 5 minutes, I'm going to tell you a story about kids and community, learning and growing, grassroots, and well, grass. Starting with a bit about the Vista neighborhood and our school, the movement to get classrooms outside, and how we have started implementing that at Hawthorne, and our future vision of this amazing project, including funding and how you can help. My family makes up 5 of the nearly 10,000 residents in the Vista neighborhood. Known as the gateway to the city, Vista Avenue makes a grand sweep from the airport and the freeway down to the historic train depot. We are also one of the neighborhoods with the lowest incomes and the lowest home values in the city, and our 2 elementary schools, Whitney and Hawthorne, are Title I schools, which is a U.S. Department of Ed act that provides families of low income with extra resources like free lunch and breakfast and extra staff. As a result of the statistics that you see up here, Vista has been selected by the City of Boise Energize Our Neighborhoods project. We have an enormous piece of grassy property at Hawthorne with plenty of room for 3 playground structures, 2 baseball diamonds, a volleyball pit, a basketball court, and a football and soccer field. We were recently granted a permanent picnic shelter and a walking path through a city neighborhood reinvestment grant, as our school ground is utilized as a community park of sorts in the evenings and on the weekends. Our gardening story started about 3 years ago in 2012 when we started our veggie garden and formed a garden advisory team consisting of myself, our principal, 4 teachers, 5 parents, and 8 students, with the help of Bugs, the Boise Urban Garden School, and a $2,000 grant from the Whole Kids Foundation and the local Whole Foods store. We've been successfully growing produce for 2 seasons now, with each bed in our garden occupied by a classroom, K through 6th, and we are lucky to have a lot of parent and community support. The past 2 years have shown an amazing growth in our environmental projects at Hawthorne, including having just celebrated our 2nd annual Earth Day Health Fair. From worm composting to a tiny trout hatchery in our classroom, we are doing and teaching and exploring wonderful things at Hawthorne in regards to outdoors and wildlife within our classrooms. But how do we then continue that education beyond our brick walls? Well, we've got a plan, and a pretty revolutionary, groundbreaking one at that. We're turning this into this. We've got about 3,000 square feet of unused grass space on the north and east, or front and side of our school, where we're wasting a lot of money on water and mowing for not much in return, really. This prime earth space is ready to be reloved, reused, and repurposed. Last summer, our principal, who's here in the audience, Beverly Boyd, and myself were introduced to this visionary outdoor educator named Holly Beck, who's also here, who is a botanist for the Idaho BLM. She's created a handful of other small outdoor teaching gardens around southern Idaho, from a small wilderness garden for Bruno Elementary School to an outdoor teaching space at Roosevelt Elementary. A native garden truly is the first stepping stone and a part of the larger initiative to engage our Idaho schools with the lands that surround them. We have thought very long and hard about this project. We've surveyed students and staff, and we have measured, mapped, and plotted. And we've come up with a pretty spectacular plan, as you can see here. We've got this little teacher's garden with a private space for meetings, a kids' experimental garden space, a sensory garden for the preschool set with walking paths and public art. We've got this Fibonacci spiral that the kids will create, which is also known as the golden spiral or the golden plan based on geometry. We've got an outdoor seating area with boulders for classroom and art spaces, and an artist garden full of wildflowers and grasses. Our project has 3 main goals, really: to encourage an appreciation of Idaho native plants and geology, to expose students to hands-on environmental education, and to enhance our already fantastic curriculum by connecting it to the natural world. The students will help create all sorts of things like interpretive signage for the garden, doing research on a variety of topics like pollinators and native birds, and plant scientific names and uses. The garden will include a lot of plants that have a place in Idaho's history, like the syringa, or in Native American traditional uses like the basin wild rye. Our teaching staff will use this space for activities beyond the traditional teaching of natural history and science, such as an outdoor theater space, a place to journal and creative writing, a quiet place for that, a venue for art projects and music performances. We also hope to provide a public gathering space for the neighborhood where we can share our example of native drought-tolerant landscaping. And we've already started. We've mapped out our sprinkler installation plan with the Boise School District maintenance crew, and last year we dug up a portion of the grass in the front and planted a few native plants like penstemons and currants to see how they do, and they're thriving. I mentioned some of the partnerships we've fostered over the past 3 years a little bit earlier in the presentation, but these are some of our local funders from whom we've received grants and in-kind donations already. It's a big project covering a lot of land, and the landscaping materials are quite expensive, as are the equipment needed to move them, as you can see from our budget. But we're pretty realistic about the project and the goals and finances, though, and have been working hard to writing a lot of grants, which you can see we've been pretty successful at. We have already nearly half our budget in the bank. We've raised $4,500 and only have $5,500 left to go. The Boise School District has been super supportive of this type of innovative and revolutionary teaching, and is really interested in this water-wise landscaping on their school grounds, and is willing to install an underground sprinkler system on the front and the sides of the school for the native plants garden for us, which we don't have. We're an old school, we lug around hoses and sprinklers. We don't have currently underground sprinklers, and that's a huge chunk of money that they're willing to throw down for the project, nearly $10,000. But the rest of the costs are up to us, our little Hawthorne Native Plants Garden Committee, to raise. So we have thought about the ways we can revise our plan to build the garden in phases should we need to financially. But how can you help here tonight? Well, first, you can vote for us. Feast winners are typically granted about $1,000, which obviously won't fund the entire project, but will fund a huge chunk of it. $1,000 could buy us 142 native plants. It could buy enough flat boulders to make a beautiful amphitheater seating area, or it could pay for a small public artwork, which would employ a local artist to work with our school kids, making something beautiful in nature for our neighborhood. I've also placed my contact info and a donation form over there on that little riser, should I not win the pot tonight, but you're still interested in helping. You can do so through the Boise Public Schools Foundation, and even $7 buys us one really very special native plant. Or maybe you've got a bobcat we can borrow. Maybe you've got a pile of landscaping rocks in your yard that you're not using, or some watering cans to donate. We'll take that too. Maybe you own a business looking to fund a small project in the Vista neighborhood, or a landscaping business able to donate some topsoil, or a nursery willing to give us a couple of sagebrush or a mountain mahogany. To conclude, I'd really appreciate your vote for a project that will not only benefit the city of Boise and the Vista neighborhood, but is certain to do wonderful things for about 273 little kids I know. Thank you.